But for things that we're focused on, what our constituents care about is the cost of living. My family came to California in 1923 from North Dakota. We have to create a state that our generations coming after us want to live in. They can afford to stay in. And I'm so proud of the Republican caucus right now because we are focusing on that and solely focusing on. There's a lot of noise in politics, whether it's in the state, on the national, the federal side of things. But affordability is what we care about the most right now. Public safety is another thing as well. But if you can't afford to live in the state of California, then what are we doing?
Small businesses are the foundation of California's economy. They are the job creators and the backbone of communities across the state. And today, that foundation is under strain from one overriding issue, and that issue is affordability. And if I represent some 13,000 dues-paying members in the state of California, and the message that we hear every day is clear. California is becoming unaffordable, not just for families, but for the small businesses that employ them. Affordability shows up every single day in the cost of doing business. It shows up in the highest minimum wage in the country, despite voters rejecting an increase via Proposition 32, while policymakers continue to raise minimum wages through wage boards and local mandates. It shows up in the highest gas taxes in the nation, with the threat of a crippling vehicle mileage tax on the horizon. And when California loses a congressional seat because working families need to seek greener pastures, it is a problem. The lack of affordability shows up in a state carrying roughly $22 billion in unemployment insurance debt. California is the only state among the 22 that borrowed from the federal government that has not paid off its loan. And employers continue to shoulder that burden through higher federal payroll taxes. It shows up in rising commercial rents, workers' compensation costs, energy costs, and a regulatory environment approaching 500,000 rules and regulations. The regulatory leviathan is real and unrelenting. For small businesses, affordability is not theoretical, it is survival. And yet too often, policy moves in the opposite direction.
And as the Budget Vice Chair, I want to make one thing abundantly clear. California does not have a budget issue. California has a spending issue. If you go all the way back to 2016, we have seen our spending increase by over 100%. But if you ask the people of California, do you drive 100% better roads? Do you have 100% better services? The clear answer is no. I made sure to propose my farm tax credit to make sure that the farmers, one of the largest industries in the state of California, are prioritized and seen as important because right now, their margins are less than the Great Depression. If you ask me, the fourth largest economy in the world, the richest state in the richest country in the history of the world should not have these problems. But the problem that we do have is leadership all the way at the top that won't prioritize the industries that make California as exceptional as what it is.
With inflation hitting gas, groceries, housing, young families are being squeezed from every side. That's why I've introduced AB 1596, which would give a 5-year sales tax holiday on the sales of infant car seats. Survival is not a luxury, and children's safety should not be a revenue stream. Every dollar we tax on baby gear is a dollar that makes a family consider moving to a state that actually wants them there. This isn't just a tax holiday, it's a stay in California incentive.
I will say Sacramento is very different than DC. Though we don't always agree, every single member behind me has a ton of Democratic support and collegiality in the state of California. So I think constituents need to know that as well. Even though we are on different parties, we actually all do, for the most part, get along, and that's actually very encouraging. Again, doesn't mean we always agree, but I actually think we have opportunities to move some of these bills forward for sure.
Sacramento doesn't have a revenue problem, they have a spending problem. Families are cutting back, the government should too. So today, I proudly stand with my Republican colleagues, bringing real solutions to the affordability crisis we all face in California. Let people keep what they earn.